I am live. I'm live. Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at what we got here. Hello. Everybody can hear me? I think so. We're pretty good. Okay. Live stream and stream. Edit. Description. Where can I share my screen on this thing? What is up, people? What is going on? Just getting the tools right here. Expand my view. 2 people in. Fantastic. Where can I share my screen on this thing? What is that? All right. Okay. It's not open yet. It says I'm live here. What? I have to take it out? Mm-hmm. Okay. So don't come here. No, I do what? Public. Done. People blogs. Tag English recording none. Okay. This it? We're live now? Now we're live, right? Now we are live. Okay, all right. Who's in? It's public chat now. It's public chat. Okay, we were actually able to fix that fantastically. What is up? I'm going to say what's up here. What is up, people? All right, everyone there in the chat. What is going on? Let's wait for some people to show up. Still live, though. Seems like it's working. Okay. This is all good. Hello. Now it's working. All right. Great. Let's just wait for some people to show up. See what's going on. Okay. All right. Eduardo, how's it going, man? Y'all good? Now it's working. Okay. Thanks for showing up, man. Still waiting for some people to show up here real quick. Let's get this party started in a bit. A couple more minutes. And we're going to talk IELTS. A lot of IELTS. Just IELTS, everything IELTS, man. Canada, IELTS, general, academic, whatever score you guys need. You can also ask questions right here in the talk box. All right. If you guys want to ask me what score you guys want to get to and how to get to that score. All right. We got a lot of really great content for you guys today. We're just going to be waiting for a few more minutes, get some more people into this live before I get started. All right. Good stuff. Well, thank you guys for coming, man. This is fantastic. It's a good Monday. It's a great Monday, actually. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of IELTS stuff today, just a lot of listening, writing, speaking, especially the speaking, which is people's biggest issue, I think, is definitely the speaking. And that's something we're going to be carrying out today a little bit. And it's going to be entirely in English, so that's something totally new. I don't know if people are ready for that, but it's going to be fantastic either way. So just sit tight, and we'll get started. Sit tight a little longer. Let's see what's going on here. All right, we got a couple people going in. Good stuff. Well, Eduardo, since you're the first guy in, you can actually ask the first questions if you want to, while we wait a little longer for some people to show up. That's fantastic. You can talk to me directly in the chat box if you want to, which is great. That is awesome. Just going to find a way to get my book up here so we can talk about different things in our chat, which is great. Just give me a few more minutes, people. Just a few more minutes so we can check that out, which is all good. Well, we received a lot of really great comments from a lot of people these days. All right, just to introduce myself real quick. Briefly, I'll do this again a few times during the live. More and more people get to show up. Let's hope so. Well, my name is Phil. My first question is about the composition of the overall score. Is it just a simple average from the 4 sections? Yes, great question, Eduardo. The overall score is an average from all 4 sections. So let's say you want to reach a band 7. You don't actually have to have a 7 in each single score. All right, I'll give you an example. If you're looking for a band 7, you should focus on one of your strong points. Let's say that your reading is a 7.5, but your listening is a 6, okay? And then your writing is even worse. It's like a 5.5. That means that your strong points, in this case, the listening or in the speaking section, that depends on which is your strongest point, needs to compensate for the lack of points that you'll have in your weak point. That's why it's called an overall band score. All right. So if you're aiming for a 7.5, that does not necessarily mean that you need a higher score or a 7 overall in each one of those sections. All right. It means that the average, like you said, simple average from the 4 sections. A really great way for you to do this, Eduardo, is that you should take a look at the score you need and you divide it by 4 on your cell phone. This is a great way to do it. So let's say you have a 6.5 in the writing plus a 6.5 in the speaking plus a 7. Okay, that's a 20 plus a 7 in the other one. That's a 27. You divide that by 4 and you get the 6.75. Okay. Oh, yes, of course. Let's talk about the test format. All right. For those of you who have never taken the IELTS test before, this is very, very, very important. Okay. First thing that everybody needs to know, you're welcome. All right. Thanks for coming. First thing that everyone needs to know is what test are you going to be taking? All right. What is the objective of the test that you are going to be taking? Is it going to be for a college program? Is it going to be for express entry to Canada? A lot of people looking for that. Okay. Hey, Isabella. No, I'm not actually. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, but I speak a little bit of Portuguese. Okay. I will try later in the live, but most of the live is going to be mainly in English. Okay. Thank you for coming, Isabella. If you have any questions, you can just type it in the little chat box and I would be happy to answer them. Okay. So basically, you need to understand that there are 2 different tests. Okay. One test is the academic IELTS test, where people usually take this test because they're planning on going to college or otherwise a master's program, something like that. Okay. And the average score to get to a college program is not as high as the express entry. All right. Which you will need to take the general course in this case. So the first step for you guys that are new to the IELTS test is to figure out exactly why are you taking the test? What is the main purpose of the test for you? Okay. So make sure that you understand. Can I choose the test version, digital or paper after the pandemic? Okay. A great question here from Eduardo. Guess what? I would not take the paper-based test ever. Okay. The computer-based test is so much better. They have more or less like gamified the test in a way that makes it very practical for you to be able to get through the test very easily. Okay. And there are also some really great simulations that I will send you as well, Eduardo and Isabella, a little later in our test. Okay. Do you have any tips to practice the speaking beside the classes? Yes, I do. I'm going to get there real quick. Okay. All great questions, people. How to write with paper and pencil. Yeah, neither do I. Okay. That's not going to happen. None of us really write with paper and pencil anymore. We text people a lot. So you can imagine that most of our writing, including mine, our handwriting, is probably not going to be that great. All right. That's the truth. Most of us don't write anymore with pencil and paper. So yes. But anyway, first guys, so if you're going to take the general test, make sure you understand the general test is actually easier than the academic. Okay. However, the score base is different. For example, you have 40 questions in the listening for the general and for the academic. All right. But 28 to 30 is a 7 in the academic. Okay. And in the general, you have to get a higher score. So you have to have more right points to be able to get a higher score. Okay. So even though it's easier at some points in the reading, for example, it's still not that easy because you have to get more points straight. Okay. So make sure that you know exactly why you're taking the test. And also a really great thing you guys can do is to understand when you start studying for the test and when you are actually going to take the test itself. Okay. Try and develop an interesting study plan. All right. That I will talk about as well in this lesson, which will kind of help you to study properly. Okay. I know there's a lot of information out there on like YouTube, and I know some of your friends are probably taking the test, and some people have gone to Canada or New Zealand or Australia, and you're looking at their Instagram and you're like, oh, damn, why am I not there? I really want to do that now. But make sure that you plan and pace yourself, or you are going to be very frustrated, one, and two, you're going to waste money because you're going to take the test at a test-taking center. I believe the test now costs an average of 200 reais, 150 to 200 reais at most. Oh, no, $200, not reais, okay? About $150 at most test-taking centers, which now with the dollar at 540, I think, it's a lot of money. So you don't want to take the test twice, okay? You want to be able to plan yourself to be able to take the test once, all right? If you can do that once, you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money, all right? So just to recap, step number one, make sure you know where you're going, college, express entry, what country, very important. Secondly, which test to take. Is it general or academic? All right. And the third step, which I just said, is make sure that you develop a study plan, okay, with the right information and the right material, okay? With the right information and the right material, you'll be able to reach the score that you need in that time frame, all right? One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they've never done the test before. They're watching a few YouTube videos and they're not planning their future. They're not planning for their studies, okay? It's an expensive test, guys. You don't want to take it more than once. I had some students that came to us and they had taken the test 2 or 3 times before they decided to get help, okay? Self-study is very important, but don't depend entirely on self-study, okay? Research, information, do your homework. Very, very important. Do your homework, okay? Which includes, you got to watch a lot of Netflix, okay? A lot of British-based television shows, Sherlock Holmes is a great show to watch. Not the American version, the BBC version. Okay. Listen to BBC podcast. You can find BBC podcast anywhere. If you join Spotify and you just click BBC and you've got so many different options. Look at that. You've got Global News Podcast, 6-Minute English, BBC Earth Podcast, and it's all in British, okay? Because the IELTS is in British English. So you need to have that Jamie Oliver, Gordon Ramsay talking to you so you can show up to the test very, very comfortably and you make sure you understand everything, right? So I always recommend the BBC podcast, okay? If you just press play on it, you'll get something like this. All right.
And that is obviously in a bid to contain the spread of this new strain of COVID-19. The restrictions on travel have increased since Joe Biden got into office. He's reimposed.
All right. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of British. It's a lot of Brits talking. How are you? It's a lot of that. Okay. So make sure that you get the free stuff. Okay. You can find that on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. Okay. And that's a really great way for you to be able to improve your listening skills. Okay. In general. All right. Very, very, very important. All right. So remember, make sure you understand which text to take. Oh, yes. About the writing section. I'm going to get there as well. All right. So first of all, let's talk about, let's start with the listening. Okay. And then I'm going to move down to some of the reading. And then I'll move down to some of the writing, and then we'll do a little bit of the speaking right after. So more or less in order, okay? Since no one has taken the test, now the test is divided into two different parts, okay? The first part of the test is you can choose to book your speaking test either before or after your main test, okay? So you have a 3-hour exam, and then you can choose to do your speaking later. Intermediate level, able to get a good score in English? Yes, very, very possible. Isabella, an intermediate level is more or less a 6.57 overall. Okay, I'm gonna write that here on the thing here. An overall band score is a 6.57. All right. 7 is not that high overall. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. Okay. So if you're looking for a 6.5 to get to a college program with intermediate English, it's very possible because we're going to focus on making sure that your strong points are even stronger to compensate for your weak points. All right. And as Natalia said, one of the weakest points that I think for most people in Brazil is the writing section. The writing section is the most difficult part for most people because, as Eduardo says, we don't write anymore. We don't write anymore. We don't write with pen and paper, okay? And when we type, we don't type 250 or 300 words. This doesn't happen. We don't type things anymore of that length. All right. What's the last email you guys wrote? Was it 200 words? I don't think so. I don't think anyone here has written a 300-word essay in the last 10 years. Okay. So writing definitely is the most difficult part of the IELTS. Okay. The average person with intermediate English only gets a 6 on their writing test. It's very hard to get anything over a 6 in your writing. So we can't expect that people will do very good in writing unless they really apply themselves and study as much as possible. Okay? So it's very hard to get over a 6, but you can still get, yes, I'll show examples in a second. You can still get a great overall band score, Eduardo, okay, with compensating with a better score on your speaking for example, on your listening, for example, and on your writing. Okay, that is what. Let's look at the questions here. What we got? Paper version, tips to practice for the speaking besides the classes. Yes, I do. I'm going to give you guys a really great tip for the speaking section. Okay, right now. So let's do speaking section first. And then I'll show you guys some examples of the other stuff that we're doing here. Okay, so let's divide it into parts. And it's usually only about 11 or 12 minutes long. So it's very short, clearly as you can. Okay, that is the idea. How's my connection there? Open the door, do something. Get people off Netflix. Are we connected? I think we're back now. I think we're back. Oh, no, we're still reconnecting. Reconnecting still? We're good to go? All right, we're good, we're back. All right, guys, thanks. Hey, Brian, how's it going? Here we go. So let's talk about the speaking tips, people. Let's talk about the speaking section and how it actually works, okay? So the speaking section is divided. Okay, all good. All good, thanks, Brian. The speaking section is divided into 3 different categories, okay? So part 1 of the speaking are usually very basic questions, okay? Like, how was your weekend? Where do you live? What do you like to do on your weekend? But this initial part 1 of the speaking, is very, very, very important, okay? So how does the examiner measure your English level with speaking? 2 things. 1, the quality of your response. And the second is the length of your response. How long can you speak for? Okay. A good speaking response in the IELTS test is about 35 seconds long. Okay. I'm going to write that down here. 35 seconds long. All right. 35 seconds per response. So a really great way for you, Daniel, to be able to respond in your, yes, thank you so much, Brian. Okay, if you're in the come back whenever you want to, ask your questions. We are here for you guys, all right? Any questions you guys have, don't hesitate. We're right here, okay? Thanks, Brian. So anyway, back to the speaking. You need to be able to use a stopwatch, okay? This is a great tip for you to practice, even with the very basic question. For example, if you have a question like, do you prefer McDonald's or Burger King? Pretty simple question, right? I know that most people in Brazil prefer McDonald's, but I'm a Burger King fan. So yeah, I'm not really into McDonald's. But anyway, a really simple question like this: do you prefer McDonald's or Burger King? We need to be able to speak for about 35 seconds. Okay, this will show the examiner that you have the necessary resources to be able to speak. Okay, so I'm going to do one for you guys here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so we need to respond for 35 seconds. So stopwatch on. The question is, do you prefer McDonald's or Burger King? Here we go. Well, if I had a choice between McDonald's or Burger King, I would definitely choose Burger King, because I believe that Burger King has better hamburgers. The Whopper, for example, in Burger King is much more flavorful than the Big Mac for several reasons. The cheese is of much better quality. Also, the meat has a more kind of barbecued flavor, and it tastes a little bit homemade. And also the bread has a better texture. Okay, that is a 35 sample response. Okay, not that hard, people. Not that. All right. So a really great tip for you to be able to practice your responses is 2 things. 1, always try to speak for about 36 seconds using a stopwatch. Very, very important. Okay. And secondly, try recording your voice on your cell phone so you can play it back to yourself and see if you actually understood what you said. All right. It's a really great tip that you can use to be able to practice your speaking. If you have a friend to practice with you, even better. Okay. If you have a friend to practice with you, you can exchange messages. As a matter of fact, a lot of my students actually have some of the recordings I'm going to show you today, all right, that use this same structure. Okay. Sample questions in the group? Sure. We can send some sample questions. All right. Let's take a look at a response. This is a band 7, okay, from a student of mine. Her name is Marilia, and she got a band 7 overall. Oh, let me show you something real quick. Eduardo, if you're still here with us, here is an example of what I was talking about, okay? Can you see how her overall is a 7.5, okay? Her speaking is an 8, but her writing is a 6.5. Her reading is an 8.5, okay? And her overall is a 7.5. That's an idea of how the score is, okay? So she was only able to get a 7.5 because her speaking was an 8, her reading was an 8.5, her listening was a 7.5, okay? But her writing was a 6.5, all right? So her strong points, like the reading and the speaking, were able to compensate for her lack in the writing. Okay, so yes, another response to Isabella as well. It's able to get a good, yes, you're able to get a good score in the IELTS with intermediate English. And I will show you right now an example of one of her recorded conversation messages, and you will see that it is not as advanced as you would think. Okay, check this out.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about a person who I think when she was alive did everything that she could and tried to do almost the impossible to help people in need. And I'm talking about my grandmother.
Okay, so you can see it's not a very advanced response. It's not a very fluid response, okay, but it's long. That's a 3 minute and 8 second response, okay? So it's long. They measure you by the length of your conversation, okay? So the first tip of the speaking that I'm going to give you guys right now is no short answers, okay? I'm going to write that here. Tip 1, speaking. No short answers, okay? You need to speak for about 35 seconds at least, even if the examiner stops you. If he stops you, that's up to him, all right? But you have to keep talking. Don't stop talking. No short responses. Do you prefer McDonald's or Burger King? I prefer Burger King. That's not a good response. I have to respond at length. I need to give details why I like one or the other. Okay. That is very, very, very important to be able to get that done. All right. And now let's go to the second part of the speaking. Okay. Section 2 of the speaking is where you have to speak for 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, that is long, very long. All right, nobody talks about subjects for 2 minutes. That's the truth. We don't do that anymore, unless you're at a bar with your friends and you had a couple beers and maybe a couple shots, and you start talking about a subject for a long time. But most people have very short responses. It's very normal to have a short response, even about a subject that you are not very familiar with. All right. So one of the interesting things is to also use a stopwatch in your practice sessions, okay, with a teacher or with one of your friends or something like that. Make sure that you use a stopwatch and try to not stop talking for 2 minutes. Okay. Try to keep going for a whole 2 minutes. All right. As that's really going to help you to be able to get where you want to go. Okay. And Isabella, do you have any further questions? You can ask me here in the link if you want to. That's totally fine. All right. So anyway, section 2, speaking, speak for 1 to 2 minutes. Usually it's about 1 minute and a half. And then the examiner is going to ask you another question that is going to be about the 2-minute response, which brings us to section 3. Okay. Section 3 is where they have a couple trick questions. Okay. Questions that you're not very familiar with. Let me give you guys an example here of what I'm talking about. All right. Let me just grab one of these things here so I can check it out. Hold on. Okay. Just see this here real quick. Well, let's take a look. I have a question here I can ask you guys here. Let me check it out. Okay. So in the speaking test, here we go. So in this part of the discussion, we have a trick question about staying in hotels. Okay. Why do people like staying in hotels? This is a question that you'll have on section 3, which is usually very, very common. Okay. A question like this that we don't really think about. Why do people like staying in hotels? Well, it's nice. People like to be served, I guess, by other people, but it's really hard to be able to respond to questions like this. Another example of a question is, do you think staying in a luxury hotel is a waste of money? Check that out. That's an interesting question. And honestly, I don't know. If I had the money to stay in a luxury hotel, I don't think it would be a waste of money, but that really depends on the way that you feel about that moment. You could say yes, or you could say no, but you still have to be able to speak for about 35 seconds about that topic as well. Okay. So it doesn't matter if the topic is a very complex topic or a very simple topic that you'll have in part 1, you will still have to speak for about 35 seconds per question. Okay. So don't forget about that. You have 11 minutes. That's the total amount of time that you have in the speaking test. It's very fast. So you want to take advantage of that time and speak for 35 seconds per question. Okay. The next tip that I'm going to give you guys for the speaking test is you can speak slowly. You don't need to speak very fast at all. All right. Try and speak slowly. Focus on your pronunciation. All right. Focus on delivering that response effectively to your examiner, even if it's a very, very, very simple response. Okay. For example, right here in the book, I have one that says, what kinds of emails do you receive about your work or studies? It's a very simple question, but we still need to be able to respond effectively. All right. And a slow response usually has a better effect than trying to speak as fast as possible, because I know you're kind of nervous. All right. And that's also a way that you can kind of calm yourself and collect your thoughts to be able to speak properly. Okay. So try and speak a little slower, open your mouth a little bit. All right. Open your mouth a little bit and try and practice to speak a little slower in your recordings. Connect your ideas and deliver a solid 35-second response, and you will get the speaking score that you need, plain and simple. Okay. And do this again. Do it over and over again. Practice with friends. Practice in front of a mirror. Practice with your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, your kids. Okay. Practice with everyone. And that's one way to be able to get the score that you're really looking for. All right. So in the speaking section, we found that we had the best results with that method, 35 seconds per question. Oh, very nice. Thank you so much, Isabella. Yes, I speak very clearly and slowly. So talk like me in the test. All right. Try and speak like me in the test, very slowly. And hello, how are you? How was your day? How's it going? All right. That's going to help the examiner to understand the question, because one of the biggest mistakes, all right, that people make in the speaking is, one, they don't speak for a period of time. So it's a very short response. And the second is they try to speak too quickly, okay? And it ends up being very confusing and the response is not delivered properly, okay? And remember, Isabella, you only have 11 minutes, okay? Google Docs, interesting. How does that work? I'm curious now. How do you practice speaking using Google Docs? Like you type it out, or you have like a list or something? I'm curious about that, Eduardo. Whenever you wanna share that with the class, let's do it. Okay, we're here for that. But yeah, practice speak. Oh, because they probably have like a reading section. I've never used that before. Now I'm curious. He knows something we don't. This guy knows something we don't. We have to figure it out. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Share with that, Isabella. If you take classes for IELTS test, if you don't, you can start speaking and recording your responses. Okay. If you want to send a couple of your speaking questions to us as well, we'll also be able to help you and give you some feedback. Okay. So feel free. Okay. So feel feedback. Voice recognition. Okay. That's totally new to me. Oh, so you speak into a microphone and I guess they like write down what you said, kind of like captions, maybe. That's interesting. That's pretty good. One more thing, Isabella, join the group. Okay. Join the WhatsApp group, because we're going to be sending you some material and some content that I think you will like a lot. All right. So if you want to join the group, we have some great content for you guys later. Daniel says, what is the kind of question of the section 2 of the speaking? Okay, great question. I left that out. Let me get one for you here. Okay. Google converts to text. It is correct. You are speaking well. Very cool, Edward. I did not do that before. So yes, a great tip, guys, right here. He just took over. He just took over the live, this guy. If you don't have a speaking partner, use Google and it converts to text. And if it's correct, you're speaking I'm going to use that in one of my classes, man. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to get that idea. I'm going to use that tomorrow with some of my classes. So that's definitely good. Great idea, man. Great idea. Isabella, as you can see, the group link is right there on the side. You just click on it and boom, we are good to go. Let's answer Daniel's question. Oh my God, I don't have much vocabulary to speak for 1 minute. Yes, a lot of people don't. Okay. That's why we have to use a stopwatch, it really helps you to be able to speak and to be able to look for all that vocabulary that you probably didn't know you had. Okay. Ooh, something very good to help with pronunciation, people, is reading out loud. Okay. Make sure that you read out loud, which means that you have to read in a loud voice. You can read to yourself, but you can read in a loud voice. Okay. This really helps you to stretch out those mouth muscles and also helps you with your pace to work on your pronunciation as you read, which is not that simple. Let's answer Daniel's question real quick. What is the kind of question of section 2 of the speaking? Okay, I'm going to give you an example here, Daniel. Look at this one. This question is, describe a hotel that you know. Okay, describe a hotel that you know. And you should say, first of all, where is the hotel? Simple enough. You should say what this hotel looks like, of course. And you should also say what facilities this hotel has. So what facilities this hotel has. All right. So yes, that's a question example you'll have there, Daniel. Is describe a hotel that you know. You should say where the hotel is, what this hotel looks like, and what facilities this hotel has. This is great for you, Daniel, because if you have to speak for about 1 minute, you can divide your response into about 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So let's say that you talk for about 25 seconds per part. So 25 seconds for describing the hotel, 25 seconds for where the hotel is, 25 seconds for where what the hotel looks like, 25 seconds for what facilities this hotel has on average. Okay? That's a pretty great way to divide your ideas using a stopwatch. Okay? So if I had to do that, I would do something like this. So a hotel that I know is called the Caesar's Palace Hotel in Las Vegas. Caesar actually didn't live there. It is not his palace, but it is a really great place to go. It's around a lot of different casinos, and I like to go there for a variety of different reasons. I was there last year in May, and it's quite expensive. The hotel is located in the desert in Las Vegas. I'm not sure what the exact address is. I just took a shuttle car from the airport, and I got there at around about 5 o'clock. But it's pretty isolated, but also quite central. It's a great place, very close to a lot of other casinos and, of course, a lot of other hotels in the area. What does it look like? Well, it's a very tall building. All right. It's a very tall building, and it's kind of brown. And inside you have a lobby with a reception and, of course, a receptionist. You have a lot of different kind of ancient Roman paintings as if it were Caesar's palace. So you have like a chariot with people on it, and it looks like maybe a statue of Caesar. You have some people dressed as Caesar inside Caesar's palace, obviously. The facilities that this hotel has, well, it has room service, which is amazing. I love room service. I'm pretty sure you guys do too. They also have, obviously, hotel rooms vacant. They have some villas, which are on the top floor, and they have some other cheaper hotels that you can stay at. They also have a place where you can eat, and there is a place that you can swim. There's a gym, I believe, inside. Okay, so that's the idea, guys. Dividing it into 25 seconds per part kind of helps you to understand where you are and how long you need to speak for. Okay, so like that's a 1 minute video, and that's pretty good. So if you guys want a speaking tip, do that. Okay, do that, and then you're able to speak for about 1 minute and 51 seconds, which is pretty good. Tiago says, do we have some watch in the class during the test to look at? Yes, you do. On the top left side or in the middle of your screen, you have a timer that's kind of going down. Okay. It's 1 hour for the reading section, for example. Let's recap. So the first section is the listening in the test. It's about 30 minutes long, okay? And there are no stopping points. There are no pauses. It's pretty much all the way through. And yes, you have a timer of about 30 minutes. So if you finish the listening test, people, and of course, Tiago, if you finish the listening test before 30 minutes, you have some time to go back and check your responses if you want to, okay? So that's really cool. And also, on the computer-delivered test, it kind of shows you where you missed a response. So for example, if the listening was too fast and you weren't able to fill in the blank in time, it will tell you at the end of the test, oh, section 1 has 2 questions vacant. So you can go back and fill in the blank, okay? That really helps you a lot. Stopwatch in the speaking, no, you don't. The stopwatch in the speaking, you don't have one, unfortunately. So in the speaking, you have to do this at home. You have to practice it at home, and you need to use a stopwatch at home. Best results that we've had in speaking over the past year have been using this method, okay? But yes, Tiago, in the writing section, you also have a stopwatch, okay? And now my connection dropped again, of course. Not wonderful. Are we still here? Oh, we're back. Okay, that's good. Back, people. We're here again. Here we go. Stopwatch during the class. You have one in every single section. Okay, so you have one. You're welcome, man. Thank you so much for coming. All right. If you have any other questions, feel free to text us. We'll be in touch. All right. Don't hesitate. Type it in the box, and we're here to do it. All right. That's the idea. So you have a watch in every single section, and this is a great way for you to understand the time factor. Okay, which is also very, very, very important. Okay, that's one of the things here. I am going to try and share my screen with you guys. Okay, and haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. So apparently I can do that on YouTube. YouTube will count. Upload button, left corner, events. Okay, I actually don't want to record it. I want to share screen on my live session. So I'm just going to take a look at that real quick. It's not on Facebook Live. It's actually on YouTube. Okay, well, till we figure that out, we'll talk about some other aspects of the test. Okay, as you guys know, in the reading section, okay, which is not that hard, but still for some people it is quite difficult. The reading section is divided into 3 different passages. Okay, and each passage has about 13 questions, more or less. It's a total of 40 questions. All right. So you have an average of about 13, 14 questions. I think 13 in the first 2, 14 in the second one. Let us not forget that the difficulty level of each one of these passages is in order. So the first passage is going to be the easiest one. The second one is going to be a little more difficult. And the third one is, of course, the most difficult, okay? And since you have 20 minutes, you have 1 hour, okay, for the reading. 1 full hour for the reading. Oops, spelled wrong. This means that you want to focus, most of your efforts on the last part, on reading section 3. Okay. Reading section 3 is the most difficult. It's the most difficult section in the reading. And the first one is the easiest section. So my advice for you guys who want to ace the reading section to be able to balance that overall score is focus on passage 1. Okay. The first tip for passage 1 in the reading section of the academic or the general is not to read the passage. Okay, so tip 1, do not read the passage first. Go straight to the questions. Okay, and understand that in passage 1, the response is in order. Okay, what does that mean? That means question 1, reading passage 1, question 1, is usually in the first paragraph in the beginning. Okay? So it is in order of appearance. All right? That is an interesting tip because this is going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of time that you want to have for section 3, which is the most difficult. All right? So if you have 13 questions in section 1, all right, if you have 13 questions in section 1, you should not spend over 1 minute per question. All right, 1 minute per section is the most important. All right, in section 1, because it's in order. So make sure that you read the question first. Okay, go back up to the text and from top to bottom, skim read to find the right word. Okay. And it's usually pretty simple. It's actually quite simple, and it'll really help you guys to be able to get that going. All right. So one of the things that you can do is in section 1, don't spend more than 1 minute per question. All right. In section 2, you have about 13 questions as well. Questions, section 2, which is harder than the first section. Okay. So now you had, let's do the calculation here. You had 20 minutes per passage. Okay. So 20 minutes minus 10, you have an extra 7 minutes that you didn't use in the first passage. Okay. So you can kind of allocate that to passage 2. So you can spend a little more time on passage 2, which is more difficult. Okay. So now you have a full 20 minutes that you should spend on passage 2, which gives you about 1.5 minutes per question. All right. So you shouldn't spend more than 1.5 minutes per question on passage 2 of the reading. Okay. You shouldn't spend more. That's a strategy. 1.5 minutes per question on passage 2. All right. So now you spent 20 minutes on passage 2, 13 minutes on passage 1, and now on passage 3, you have 27 minutes to kill. 27 minutes to kill on passage 3. That's pretty great. So you have 14 questions on passage 3. Okay. Let's do that. 27 minutes divided by 14. You have almost 2 minutes per question. Okay. This is a great strategy, guys, because a lot of people, a lot of students, including some of you guys, probably run out of time. And when the pressure starts closing in, you make mistakes. That's where you make mistakes, right there. The pressure starts closing in. You see the clock start going down, and you're like, oh shit, I only got 10 minutes left. So you're just checking off boxes like a madman, just checking off boxes because you don't have enough time. So a really, really amazing strategy that I've been using with my clients for the reading is this. Section 1, 1 minute per question. Section 2, 1.5 minutes per question. And then section 3, you have 2 minutes per question. So you have a lot of time to be able to get that done. Yes, one more thing. At the end of the chat there, you have our blog. All right. Make sure you check out our blog. We've got a lot of really great test information for you guys. Okay. That I think would be fantastic. All right. You can check it out. We're going to be updating that blog all the time, daily, weekly, every other day. Okay. And we're also going to be doing more of these lives. So make sure that you guys do some of this stuff at home. And of course, check back with us. If we can help you in any way, you can write down your questions right here on our little chat box, or you can contact someone from our team as well and get them to help you guys to pass that test. Okay. So back to the reading. That is the strategy. Let me just write that down for you guys a little better. Hey, Tirza, how's it going, man? All right. So the strategy for the reading, academic reading. Okay. 1 minute per question. Okay. Passage 1. Passage 2, 1.5 minutes. Okay. And then passage 3, which is the most difficult, you have a whole 2 minutes to be able to pass. All right. That's one of the best strategies that you can use for the reading. It's going to help you to pace yourself. It's going to help you to not rush through questions unnecessarily, all right? And also understand where to find those questions as well, which we're going to be doing in other lives. I'll be able to simulate the test for you guys. I'll be able to see everything very, very, very clearly. All right. Hey, Tears, if you've got any questions, you can go ahead and just plop that down right there in the box as well. Okay. Let's see. Show us more score examples. Sure, I can do that. We've got a couple score here from different friends to answer a couple questions. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the latest stuff that we had here. Let's just check out. Let's check that out here. Well, this is pretty good. So this student, she got a overall 8, which is pretty amazing. All right. And you can see that she got an overall 8. Her listening was an 8, which is really high. All right. That's 36 points out of 40. Her reading was a 8.5. All right. But her writing was only a 7. But her speaking was a 8.5 as well. So that's pretty amazing. You can check that out right there. Take a look at that. All right. Which is right here. So you got a couple of those as well. 8, reading, writing. Okay. That's one example we have using these exact techniques that I'm showing you guys right now from other students as well. And then we had another student which is actually one of our French students. He got an overall 7. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that screenshot, but it's there. Overall 7 right there in the corner. Okay. And that overall 7, he got an 8 in listening. All right. Check this out. This is great for all of you. And of course, Isabella, this is a person with intermediate English. Okay. A student of mine, great student. And he got an overall 7. He got an 8 in listening. Okay. A 7 in reading, a 6.5 in speaking, which is relatively low, and he got a 6 in writing. So how did he get an overall 7? He was able to compensate with a listening 8.0. All right. He was able to get that listening score 8.0, which compensated for his speaking and for his writing. All right. So that's what a great strategy that you can use. If you don't have the level to be able to get a really high score, you can still get the score you need. A 6.5 and a 7, you can still get that going, okay, if you compensate with one of your strong points, okay? Most people have great listening. Listening is one of the strong points of most students we have right now, is definitely the listening, okay? So it's something you guys should do. Listen to BBC Radio, listen to BBC podcasts, watch a lot of stand-up comedy. It's a great way for you to get into that kind of, it's funny, it's cool, it's a joke, it's not boring, it's not Downton Abbey or one of those other British shows. Okay. Cooking shows, Jane Oliver, all right, Gordon Ramsay, any and all things British, pretty much, will kind of keep you sharp between the ears to be able to get the score that you need for the listening. Okay, that's one of the best things that we have right now. And what else have we got? Let's just see. Well, we talked about some of the strategies for the reading. We talked about some of the strategies for the speaking test, which I think is the most essential. Okay, when it comes to the writing, I would actually like to show you guys, but we're probably going to be doing that in another live. Okay, we're going to do that in another live. I don't think we're doing that today as well, since I have to set up a program to be able to show you guys that here and share my screen. I thought YouTube had screen sharing properties. They don't have screen sharing properties. So sadly, I won't be able to do that today. But I really wanted to come across the writing section with you guys, since a lot of people asked me about the writing. The writing is one of the most difficult parts Okay. Let's answer some questions that we had here about the test. All right. One question someone asked me here is that, is it possible to do it remotely? What's the price? Okay. And what's the level for you to be able to get employment in Canada? Well, to respond to that question, the IELTS test does have a remote test called the IELTS indicator. Okay. What? Stop working. Oh, okay. Well, apparently they don't have that anymore. Okay. So you can't do it online. You got to do it presentially. But they had one called the IELTS indicator a couple months ago. Maybe they will come back with that in the future. Okay. So keep your eye out for that IELTS indicator. If you need more examples of it, just Google IELTS indicator and you'll have some answers for that as well. How much does it cost? I believe it costs about $180 right now. Okay. And what is the necessary level for you to be able to get a job in Canada? I would say anything over a 6.5 is already sufficient. Most companies don't require very high levels of general, okay? So that would be a 6.5 overall general, okay? Which I think is sufficient for you to be able to get employment. All right, let's move on to next questions. How to set up a study base program. Okay, well, I have a few steps for that I think you guys should do. Number one is material. Okay, make sure that you guys have the right material. All right, you can actually ask us for the material and we'll send it to you for free. Yay. Okay, all of it. Cambridge, yes, exactly. Perfect. So we'll be able to get some of that for you guys as well. So yes, get great material. Okay. Make sure that you get great material. And our students actually get the books for free. Okay. So if you contact us, okay, let us know how we can help you. You get material as part of our IELTS course as well. Okay. So make sure you give us a call. Or give us a quick chat on WhatsApp. We'll be able to help you guys out. Okay. And if you want private lessons, we have those too, which is great. We got a lot of really great teachers, native level English to be able to help you guys get your score. All right. The structure of the writing section. The writing section. All right. Everyone's bugging me about the writing. I'll do it. The writing section. Okay. The structure of the writing section. Let's start with the most difficult part, which I believe is the writing task 2. Okay. Writing task 2 is where you have to write your essay. All right. For those of you that don't know what an essay is, it's pretty much about 250 to 300 words. Okay. To get a great score. And it's also a 4-paragraph essay. Okay. A 4-paragraph essay, which is very, very, very important to know that. 4-paragraph essay, which is divided into, obviously, 4 different sections, okay? The first section of the essay is called the introduction. In your introduction, you are going to paraphrase the main idea of the question and answer the question, okay, with 2 reasons. All right. So, for example, in the question, do you prefer McDonald's or Burger King? You have to first introduce the phrase by saying, if I had to choose between two burger establishments like McDonald's or Burger King, I would choose Burger King. So you have to respond to the question and then give 2 reasons in your introduction. Very important, okay? So if I had to choose between McDonald's or Burger King, I would choose Burger King for 2 reasons. The first reason is the cheese. The second reason is the price. I will explore these in the following essay. That's your introduction. It's pretty much just stating what is going to come in the next paragraphs, okay? So you're paraphrasing the question, paraphrasing the main idea. All right. Paraphrase the main idea. Very, very important. Let me give you guys an example of an essay question that's a little more complex. McDonald's and Burger King is a little bit easy. Here we go. So here we go. Check this out, Tirza. This is pretty great. Look at this question here. I think we're over 266 words, so I have to get rid of some. 210. Okay. Okay, great. So some people say that physical exercise should be a required part of every school day. Other people believe that students should spend the whole school day on academic studies. Which one do you prefer and why? So the first thing you have to do in your intro is you have to paraphrase, right? To paraphrase, in case you guys don't know, is repeat the question in your own words, okay? So you have to rewrite it like this. All right. The first intro is to paraphrase. And so you can say that it is argued. I like to start there. It is argued that some form of exercise should be mandatory for children during school. Okay, this is an idea of what a paraphrase looks like. All right. It is argued that some form of exercise should be mandatory for children during school. That's the first sentence of my intro. And then I am going to agree or disagree. Okay, so I'm going to say, I agree with this statement for two main reasons. Okay, then I'm going to use a linking word first. Blah, 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 and then second. All right. So putting that all together, let's try and add this into one interesting paragraph. I'm just going to grab some of these ideas here. Two main reasons. First, second. I can't write so much because it will stop me here. I don't have enough space, but yes, here we go. So this is kind of what an introduction should look like. All right. Of course, you're going to write your first and second ideas. All right. But this is what a paraphrase is. It is argued that some form of exercise should be mandatory for children during school. I agree with the statement for two main reasons. First, children who exercise become better people. And second, exercise is good for your health. Whatever. Okay. So now you have two reasons that you stated in your introduction. One of these reasons is going to be stated in your body paragraph. Okay. Your body paragraph is going to be about one of those reasons. Okay. And should be about 75 words. Okay. That is your first body paragraph, which is going to describe and explain why you think children, okay, should exercise from one of those reasons. And then you will have your body paragraph 2. All right. In your body paragraph 2, you are going to explain about your second reason and why you agree with the statement. And then after this, you are going to conclude. Okay, so you're going to add your conclusion by saying, in conclusion, exercise is the best way to keep a child healthy all through its school year. It's right, because a child is not a person, all through his or her school year. It's a great way for a child to make friends, etc. Okay, so you're basically going to conclude by summarizing the main points that you have stated in your previous 2 paragraphs. All right. How many words do you consider a limit for trespassing limit determined by the exam? Daniel, there is no limit. The sweet spot from what I've been doing with my students, which have all got pretty great scores so far, has been 280 words. Okay. If you take 280 words, I'm not very good at math, but you've got 280 divided by 4. That gives you about, like 70 words, okay, per paragraph. However, your introduction does not need to be very long, Daniel. So introduction, 50 words, okay. Body paragraph, 75 words on average, okay. Body 2, also 75. And then conclusion, pretty much around the same amount. All right, so that is times 2, times 50, times 50, exactly. So that's the idea, all right? And then, of course, your conclusion, okay, will be about 50 words as well. That's the best way you can do it. Of course, if you want to expand that to 280 words, that's a good idea. But this is the layout for a 4-paragraph essay, all right? In the TOEFL, you have to write a 5-paragraph essay because you need to write more words, okay? We don't need to do that in the IELTS test. It is actually not recommended that you write over like 350. Now, why shouldn't you write that many words, Daniel, or anyone else, Tirza, who's listening, is because you will end up repeating yourself, okay? People are not so creative. I'm not a very creative person when it comes to writing, and I find that I already get my point across with 280 words, and that is the sweet spot, okay, when it comes to the writing. So that is the basic structure. Introduction, which is paraphrasing the main question and stating your reasons, okay? It's also answering the question, okay? It's also answering the question, so it tells the reader that you know and you understood what the question was about. That's really great. 2 body paragraphs to explain your reasons that you stated in the introduction, and a conclusion just to wrap it up. And a conclusion is also very important, Dale, Isabella, everyone else who's here, to tell the reader that you're done. The story is over. Harry Potter is old. He's married to Ginny. There are no more movies. It's done. It's over. Luke Skywalker died. Like, that's it. It's over. There's nothing else happening anymore. You need to let the examiner know that this is the end of your essay. So beginning, intro, middle, yeah, exactly, and end. It's over. The band is over. Oasis has broken up. There's nothing else you can do. All right. Last call. I can't say this enough, because a lot of people, they don't conclude properly, and then it sounds like they have more to say, like they haven't actually finished. You know, like, is there going to be a sequel? Like, has that show been canceled? We don't know. So let the people know, okay, this is over. It's done. I feel this way for these reasons. It's clear. It's done. Okay. That is the main idea. Okay. Well, people, this has been absolutely fantastic. And guess what? In the next live we're going to do, stay tuned to the group that we have, okay? Because I'm going to do several more of these, and I'm going to be sharing my screen with you next time so I can give you examples, and we can even write an essay together, okay? So I would like all of you to do your homework and make a list of questions at home. Make a list of stuff that you have, doubts about. Bring that to the live. Let me know, and I'll be here to be able to answer to every and all of your questions. Okay. So we're going to do another live. We're going to invite all of you guys again. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the book that we're going to use. We're going to write together. We're going to do a listening section together. We're going to do speaking drills together. Okay. So make sure that you guys join that. Okay. Which is absolutely fantastic. And we'll be able to get a lot of really great work done. All right. So I guess that's pretty much it. You are all free to go. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Great questions. Daniel, Tirza, who else about here we have? Natalia, thank you very much. Tiago as well, of course. Isabella, okay. Eduardo, thank you guys for your questions. Brian, who isn't here, but we will contact him. Karen as well. All right. That's the idea. Thank you all so much for commenting, and we will see you all sometime down the future. Okay. So keep it going. See you guys later. Bye-bye.